Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Josh Koscheck to defeat Drew Fickett. And I'm here to talk about Alexander Romanov versus Blagoy Ivanov. Alexander Romanov is 32 years old, 16-2 as a pro, and he's got 3 inches of height and 3 inches of reach on 36-year-old Blagoy Ivanov, who is 19-5. Blagoy Ivanov is the guy who is more reliable here. He is the reliable fighter. You know exactly who you're getting when you back Blagoy Ivanov. He's never going to be the fastest guy. He's never going to be the most powerful guy. But he will fight hard for your money. Alexander Romanov, he will fight harder than anybody for your money for one round. So there's that. But after that, I don't want to say the wheels come completely off, but it's starting to look that way. He's only got 2 losses. And interestingly enough, both guys that beat him have also beaten Ivanov. But his 2 losses are to Alexander Volkov and Marcin Tybura. Volkov in his last fight, that was a pitiful loss. And I don't like to shit on fighters and say that was pathetic and whatever. But every now and then you got to use these words. And they're reserved for performances like that. And it was just, could have just been an awful matchup. Obviously, Volkov's very unique for the division, but you have to attribute some of it to just the total fluctuation in weight. Romanov weighed he fluctuated like 100 pounds. And he was thinner in his previous loss to Marcin Tybura, but he still lost that one. He faded a little bit. And I think Romanov is, no matter what, at whatever weight he shows up in, he's going to be having a rough second and third round. I think he's really one of these guys who's a one-round fighter at the UFC level. And he might be better off being that way. Instead of trying to conserve his energy and fight for the 15-minute stretch, he might be better off just trying to destroy everybody. Because when he does rip you to the mat, he is a force unlike really anything in the heavyweight division. I know, John Jones is a pretty good mount too, but Romanov, when he's in the full mount, first of all, he'll advance the full mount, and then he just sits on you like Donkey Kong and pounds the shit out of you, or he can choke you out, and even the chokes are kind of like Donkey Kong chokes. Fucking a forearm choke on Marcos Rogerio de Lima. That's some shit you haven't seen since Tom Erickson was fighting in Pride. Romanov is a fucking monster, and I love that about him, but he's not reliable. He faded hard in that Tybura fight, which, to be fair, I don't think it was just, they entered the second round, but he poured his heart out in round 1. Emptied his tank trying to finish Tybura. Came close enough, but once he couldn't get it done, I think, that was it for him. He wasn't, he wasn't discouraged to the point where he just, found a way out of the fight, though. He stood tall and, lost rounds 2 and 3. But that's because Tybura isn't the most dangerous fighter out there. Kind of like Blagoy Ivanov. Both guys at the UFC level are really more point fighters. And Blagoy Ivanov, he's only been finished once. And it was by the same guy that finished Romanov, Alexander Volkov. And Volkov finished him, I think, 2014 in Bellator. Got him out of there with a rear naked choke in round 2. That's a loss that aged well, certainly, but Blagoy Ivanov's been defeated plenty of times since, and he's never really looked too hurt at all. And he's lost to some killers. He lost to Derek Lewis, Junior Dos Santos, Marcin Tybura, of course, and Augusto Sakai. And Ivanov is very much in these fights. And even though his wins in the UFC aren't the most dominant wins, you could argue that Rogerio de Lima fight should have gone the other way, although I thought Blagoy won. But Blagoy is a guy that, in a winning or losing effort, in a very competitive fight, or certainly, any other type of fight, he can fight hard for 15 minutes. He's going to be, if these guys are in round 3 together, I expect Blagoy Ivanov to be winning round 3. As for round 1, got to favor Romanov, as I do in most Romanov fights. But Blagoy Ivanov is a very skilled, versatile fighter, solid sambo. Beat Fedor Emelianenko. I have to mention it, of course, because whatever. It's the first factoid I ever learned about the guy. But he's a Sambo world champion. He's not a difficult guy to wrangle at all. And even though he's not the most powerful guy, or certainly the most quick guy, the quickest guy, he's good enough to put the fear into anybody on the feet. And I think Romanov, he's going to have success early on, even on the feet early on. But down the stretch, you're going to watch Ivanov start to pull ahead. I've got Ivanov winning the fight. My heart's not totally behind it because, again, I think Romanov is a very good fighter, and I don't think Ivanov, with a gun to my head, I'd say Ivanov is more likely to win a decision, kind of follow the path of Marcin Tybura. But I'll be honest, once the prop bet's open, I'll be betting on Romanov's opponent to win in round 3 and probably round 2 as well if it's juicy in about every fight, every single fight, and probably by TKO if the odds are that much juicier. Ivanov is just not the biggest finisher. He's not the most powerful guy, but he's reliable in a lot of different ways. I see him surviving if he does have to find himself underneath Romanov in round 1. And I see Ivanov making it difficult for him to dominate anyway. Ivanov's very sound defensively. And in rounds 2 and 3, I see Ivanov start to pull ahead. Round 2 could be interesting, but round 3 I'd say is definitely going to be Ivanov's. And for that, my prediction is Blagoy Ivanov. I've thrown a bet on him as well, even though my heart's not totally into it. And I'm going to wait for the prop bets, really, throw a few props. May as well play Romanov by round 1 as well if it's worth it. But that's really how I see Romanov here against better and better competition. And he's, pretty much at that level here. I see him as more of a first round or bust type of fighter. And that's what I'll be playing. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit. Check out my other videos.